Live from our hurricane headquarters with real-time analysis from some of the nation's top meteorologists, this is Tracking the Tropics.
In the hours ahead. JB Buno here with you live on Tracking the Tropics, everybody, live from our hurricane headquarters. You can use the hashtags on your screen, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyAmanda. In the social media comments section, we'll be answering your questions here live in a moment. But first, we get over to Tracking the Tropics meteorologist Amanda Holly on the right side of your screen. Amanda, this is a system that we know from here in Florida. This is the remnants of this system that gave us that Memorial Day washout, now dumping rain on portions of the Carolinas.
Yeah, so this was a lot of moisture that kind of made its way up from the Caribbean there. It kind of passed through the Florida Straits and then eventually kind of made its way across the state of Florida. It brought us a lot of rain and wind over the past weekend here. It made its way into the Atlantic, and just before it made landfall, if you will, along the Carolina coastline, it got its act together. I'm assuming what happened here, it kind of passed over the Gulf Stream and picked up a little bit of that warm water energy and got its act together right before it made landfall. But guess what? It already made landfall along the South Carolina coastline there, in between Myrtle Beach and in between Charleston, but maximum sustained winds right before that advisory came out there was clocked at about 50 miles per hour. And it's moving, though, north at about 15 miles per hour. So it's moving due north there. It's going to pass right on in through the low country, probably making its way across the North Carolina, South Carolina border there. But as you can see, it's going to weaken very fast, and that's exactly what it's expected to do. It's not really going to hold its shape for very long. What it is going to do is bring a lot of moisture, unfortunately, to areas that have already seen a lot of rain over the past week. Last week, there was a lot of rain that fell along the eastern portions of the mid-Atlantic states here. So we're talking about more rain and maybe some breezy winds at times. But the official track here has it weakening into an area of low pressure. The actual wind field of this system, very, very small. So the tropical storm force winds, very small. There is a tropical storm warning, though, in effect from Seabrook Island there to just south of Georgetown. And again, this storm has already made its way ashore. We're seeing some gusts there. We are getting a gust to about 38 miles per hour in Georgetown. So that's pretty good. The strongest gusts are going to occur right along the shoreline there from just over the border in North Carolina, Charlotte, all the way down to Charleston. That's where we're going to see the strongest winds with this system as it moves ashore. But otherwise, it's going to dump a lot of rain. So let's talk about that for just a little bit. I know we have a lot of viewers here in Tampa. We're kind of seeing this onshore flow, so we've got some scattered showers and thunderstorms developing already across the state of Florida. And that onshore flow is kind of feeding into this area of low pressure, if you will, but obviously the bulk of the rain falling within the tropical storm here, making its way ashore again, just north of Charleston, making the center of the storm right now, excuse me, making its way right on along Monk's Corner, but all of this heavy rain, kind of just a steady heavy rain falling along the Grand Strand and making its way inland through Florence, Darlington, Chirot, through the border belt. But I'll zoom in just a little bit there, put some more cities on there so you can see heavy rain. That's what we're going to get out of the system. You can see the center kind of makes its way right there. It kind of got its act together. There might have been a little bit of a clearing there just before it made its way ashore, but that's kind of what we're looking at, just a disorganized, very weak tropical system here as it makes its way ashore. Some heavy rain, and this heavy rain is going to hold together a good bit as it makes its way to the north. So this is just one particular model. This is that heavy rain that you just saw on satellite and radar. I'm going to advance it through time here, and you can kind of see as it moves to the north, the heavy rain stays on the northern side of the system. It's going to pass from South Carolina up into North Carolina, moving through Charlotte, portions of the high point of North Carolina there, maybe into Roanoke, Charleston, West Virginia could see some rain here. This will likely stay away from the area that saw rain from Tropical Storm Arthur not that long ago. This is going to stay a little bit farther inland. But like I said last week, this area in particular got a lot of rain from an upper level system that parked itself over the eastern half of the country. So this area, very soggy. We could be talking about some flash flooding as this moves a little bit north, but as it moves north, this is not going to be really tropical anymore. It's just going to be an area of low pressure with quite a bit of rain. So that's kind of an update there on Tropical Storm Bertha for you. We've already knocked two names off the list here. We had Tropical Tropical Storm Arthur. Now we have Tropical Storm Bertha down, and the next name on the list will be Cristobal. That's our C name, the third name of the 2020 Atlantic season here. So that's Bertha. Not a whole lot, just a lot of rainfall looking at along the South Carolina coastline heading up into North Carolina now, JB, over the next 24 hours or so.
Tracking the Tropics meteorologist Amanda Holly on the right side of your screen. I'm JB Buno here. We're answering questions out of the Facebook Live comment section here on Tracking the Tropics. Again, broadcasting to apps, websites, social media platforms across the southeastern United States. I know we have a lot of viewers from Florida, a lot of viewers from South Carolina, North Carolina as well. Amanda Holly's old stomping grounds there in Myrtle Beach. Hey, Mackenzie Clark, hashtag HeyJB. How bad is this storm going to be, Amanda? Now, Amanda, that's the comment there from Mackenzie. This system is going to, if it's not already weakening, it's going to be weakening here in the hours ahead, right?
Yeah, within the next hour, we're probably going to see those wind speeds drop, because that's what happens when a tropical storm moves ashore. It loses its source of fuel. So, you know, we're seeing the rain. The impacts that you're seeing, if you're in South Carolina at this point, if you're anywhere from the Grand Strand through Charleston, down in the low country, up through the Midlands here, you're seeing the heavy rain. You're maybe feeling some breezy winds, especially if you're right along the coastline. But otherwise, that's the big impacts that we're going to see. We're already feeling it. You've been feeling it really for the past couple of days as this moisture kind of has made its way into your area. It just got a little bit better organized of an area of moisture as just over the past really 3 hours or so. The advisory came out at 8:06, so and it's already made its way ashore. But that heavy rain that's falling, that's the impacts that we're going to see.
We have another question here. We have our Tracking the Tropics super fans out there that are always commenting here with the hashtags on your screen. Everybody, again, doing a live Q&A with the hashtags you see on your screen in our respective boxes on the left and right side of your screen. You see hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyAmanda. Cliff McAfee Jr. in the comment section. I don't know if we have this graphic ready, Amanda, but wants to know towards Africa, of course, where tropical systems get their start. Is there anything developing right now in the Atlantic to our east?
Nope, that is not really on our radar at this point. We usually look a little closer to home at the beginning of the season, and that's where we've seen these past two storms develop. So I don't have that graphic on the ready at this time, but nothing on the radar at right now. Not watching that area at this point. So we're good to go.
Good to know that Cristobal isn't forming anytime.
Not yet.
Not yet. We got some time before we see the C in the alphabet. And then talking about hurricane season, Amanda, we've had some commenters note we're not even at the beginning of hurricane season. Hurricane season doesn't start until Monday, June 1st. We're already at our second named storm. Perhaps you can shed some light for our Tracking the Tropics viewers out there as to how is this out of the norm? How out of the norm is this to see two named storms in May?
It's happened before. It's not out of the ordinary to see two storms form before June 1st here. It's not like, you know, June 1st comes along and then we tell the Atlantic, all right, you guys can start forming those tropical storms and hurricanes. That's really not how it works. If the atmosphere is ready to go and those storms, we get some area, a tropical wave potentially making its way into, you know, an area with some warmer water, which we have had some above average sea surface temperatures already. It's not out of the question to see a couple of named storms before the season starts. In fact, the Pacific hurricane season, that season starts May 15th because they typically see those storms form a little bit sooner. For us, our season starts June 1st, but again, it's not like we just flip a switch. They can form before June 1st for sure.
Amanda, I'm getting some note here from our digital content producer Heather Monahan that we might have a second landfall, perhaps potentially, or either a second potential landfall has already occurred or could be occurring. Maybe you could speak to the potential of not a one singular landfall event, but maybe a double landfall event here.
So maybe, and I haven't looked at any of the latest updates that have come in the past 10 minutes here, but right along the low country there near Charleston, there is some outer islands that the center could have passed ashore, and then now it could be moving into like the Bay of Charleston and then making its way onshore there. That would be classified as two landfalls, but can't speak to that. I would have to kind of look at the discussion if it came out.
But regardless, Amanda, when we're talking about the system, we're talking about when we talk about the hurricane season as a whole, when we talk about names like Dorian and some of the other storms, this is a really relatively weak system compared to some of the other storms that we've had in the past several years, such as Hurricane Michael, right? I mean, this is way down on the scale for those who are, right? Yeah, maybe you could provide some clarity there.
Yeah, so the heavy rain with this system is going to be more of an impact than the wind will. They are seeing some breezy winds. You guys up in South Carolina and North Carolina right now. I can show those wind gusts to you again as well. But the heavy rain is going to be more of an impact with this system. So look at that. We do have a 45-mile-per-hour gust in Georgetown right now. So the tropical storm force winds are occurring. Again, that latest advisory did come in just a couple minutes ago, and those maximum sustained winds were at 50 miles per hour, but as it moves ashore, it's going to weaken. That's what happens. But you know, there are some sizable gusts occurring right along the coast. But the heavy rainfall is basically what is going to be the biggest threat as the system kind of moves inland and weakens and dissipates. All
right, so I now have the information for the National Hurricane Center, Amanda, and perhaps that we can share this with our viewers here on Tracking the Tropics. They've announced, of course, on Twitter and put out an alert that a second landfall event has happened at Mount Pleasant. So I'm unfamiliar with the Carolina coast and exactly where that is, but this is a second landfall event, I'm being told, at Mount Pleasant on the Carolina coast. So maybe, again, you could provide us with a little bit of context. This is an area that you know well.
Yeah, so that's just north of the Charleston area here. I'll step out of the way. So we have Charleston down here on the map, and Mount Pleasant is just to the north of that. So again, there's a lot of barrier islands here that it could have passed, you know, over those barrier islands. We're talking about the center of the storm. I really don't like to use the word eye at this point because it's just a tropical storm. You know, when we were talking about Dorian last year, we had that really distinctive eye, and the strongest winds are right outside of that. The bad weather's right outside of that. But in this case, the eye of the storm, the center of the storm, may have passed over a barrier island and then made its way on to the mainland, if you will, and that occurred at Mount Pleasant, which is just north of the Charleston area. But you can see the strongest of the winds, really, the colors on this color palette occurring between Murrells Inlet here and McClellanville and maybe in the Mount Pleasant area.
Rainmaker for sure for South Carolina, North Carolina. Kimmy Nicole joining us in the Tracking the Tropics Facebook Live comment section from Myrtle Beach, saying that we're not getting nothing but light rain and literally no wind. So remember, things, Amanda, we talk about this all the time. Things can look quite ominous on radar but sometimes for folks that are actually in it, they're not seeing major effects or severe effects of the system that we're currently monitoring, right?
That's right. You know, the closer you are to the center, that's the Georgetown area saw that brief gust. You know, we're talking about a gust, so that's just a very brief period of wind that may have been strong, but Myrtle Beach is just to the northeast of Georgetown there. And yeah, you're seeing some light rain making its way ashore, but there are some pockets of heavy rain embedded within it. You know, that's the nature of a very weak tropical storm. We're not going to see it very symmetric. We're not, symmetric features of the storm, and depending on, you know, just a few miles away, you might get some different impacts.
Tracking the Tropics, we're here to educate, alert, and inform our viewers across the United States as to tropical activity. Of course, this is our second named storm of the 2020 hurricane preseason. Hurricane season doesn't start until Monday, June 1st. We will be live with a Tracking the Tropics live digital special on Monday, June 1st at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Central. You won't want to miss it. We're going to be previewing the hurricane season with meteorologist Amanda Holly, myself, meteorologists from across the United States. We're going to be looking at what we might be able to expect in the months ahead. COVID-19 has already made 2020 a year to forget. We're really hoping for a lighter, less intense hurricane season than we've had in years past, but we're, of course, going to have that all for you coming up in our Tracking the Tropics live digital special to start hurricane season this Monday, June 1st, 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. But that does it for us here on Tracking the Tropics. On the right side of your screen, meteorologist Amanda Holly here with us at WFLA for Tracking the Tropics. I'm JB Buno. We'll see you soon, everybody. Be sure to follow your local station's website, social media platform, or app for the very latest updates on Tropical Storm Bertha and weather where you live. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for watching Tracking the Tropics.